Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is a very special edition of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And right now, I have via Zoom actress, model, writer, and singer, and daughter of Harry Belafonte, Miss Shari Belafonte. Hey, Shari, how's it going?
Very well, thanks, Randy.
How are you in California?
California, we're hanging in there pretty well. Yesterday and today got 90 degrees, so suddenly you're going, yeah, it really is California now.
Wow.
But we're also in Simi Valley, so it's a little more spaced out, a little more distance. Our nearest neighbor is a quarter of a mile away, so, they wave as they drive by, and we wave at them as they drive by. So we're used to being at home a lot because we're actors, but
yeah. Right.
So it's not quite as tedious, I think, for us as it is for some other people, but we're hanging in there.
Yeah.
A lot of Zoom.
Right.
Why didn't I buy into Zoom like a year ago? Because like twice a day I'm doing Zoom meetings or Zoom family chats or Zoom birthdays.
Exactly. This is the new normal, and we have to embrace it. For now, anyway. So you're no stranger to publicity. What was it like being interviewed in her film, In the Know?
Stacey Blanchet was just, first of all, she and I have become really good friends now. We're actually working on a couple of other projects. But she initially had approached me about it was going to be a short 15-minute interview for the internet. Mm-hmm. And about a month after we shot, because we shot for 4 hours at the Pacific Design Center, and about, it was a few weeks afterwards, she contacted me and she said, I'm thinking about making this a documentary. And I went, seriously? So,
why not?
Why, have I done enough to warrant a documentary? And so she said, no. She said, there's just too much stuff. She said, it's great. I want to do a documentary. I said, sure, go ahead. Good luck. And now, sure enough, it's been a couple of years, but she sold it, and going to be running up. I think you've got the information, and I'm more power to her. It's so funny because I've gone on since then, and I even said to her just a couple of days ago, I went, do we put like an epilogue, like a little appendix saying, oh, by the way, now I'm on the morning show with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, and I'm also on Tyler Perry's show Sisters. I play one of the mamas of one of the sisters. So I've been busy since we put that together, but it was fascinating even for me to watch it, and go, wow, I guess I really have put in some time, haven't I?
And everybody knows you're the daughter of the infamous Harry Belafonte. I know you get this a lot, but what was it like growing up with Harry?
I didn't really grow up with Harry. My parents divorced when
you saw him.
They actually separated when my mom was pregnant with me. Mm-hmm. And I shouldn't say I didn't grow up with him, because he did come in, on the weekends, occasionally weekends when he wasn't working. And during the summer vacations, we would go, all 4 kids, because it was my older sister and myself. And then he remarried, and I had a younger brother and a younger sister. And during the summer, we would all go with Dad wherever he was touring. He was usually performing either in Japan or Paris or Europe somewhere or Africa somewhere. I used to say I think it was like 14th birthday in Hawaii. At the time when I was 14, Hawaii really was a foreign country. It wasn't part of the 50. I mean, it was part of the 50, but it was so far away and so completely different than stateside. So I had my 14th in Hawaii. I think I had my 12th in Tokyo. I had my 9th in South Africa, in Kenya. So I did get quite a fabulous education that way. My mom, I remember, was being scolded at one point by the principal of the school when I was coming back after one of these, long sojourns with Harry. And so, the principal was saying, you've got to go, because we were late. I think we were like about 4 or 5 days late coming to school. Okay. And so he was sort of reaming her, saying, you can't let your kids be late coming into the first day of school. How are they going to learn anything? And my mom basically snapped back, even though she and Harry were separated. She snapped back and said, look, I guarantee you my daughter's learning a lot more going to Japan than reading about it in a book. Wow. So, just back off.
Yeah. Do you know who my daughter is? No.
Yeah, don't you know who I think my daughter's going to be? all four parents. My stepfather, who was a wonderful guy, who was a doctor. He was the chief of surgery at Providence Hospital back in the 60s, which Providence then was sort of like our Cedars now. I can't tell hospital because you guys got so many great ones.
Yep.
But Providence used to be the premier hospital in Washington, D.C., 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. My stepfather was really a wonderful person, and my stepmother was fabulous. And so really the four of them did quite well by the four of us kids by, standing by us and supporting us all through it all. So.
Okay. Cool. And now you started out as a model, as an actress. And since then, you've worn so many hats in the entertainment industry.
I'm wearing one now.
There you go. There's another one to add to it.
Only because I haven't had time to dye the hair.
That's okay. That's cool.
Yeah, maybe it's.
I like it.
Putting the hat on. But the salt and pepper is not working for me.
But aside from the hat you're wearing right now, is there a hat that you've tried on in the past throughout your illustrious career that is your favorite hat?
Well, it's interesting because I actually started off behind the camera when I was 4 years old. My grandmother gave me my first camera. Because I was an attention deficit hyperactive kid, and I loved taking pictures. So basically, she gave me a camera to keep me busy. To let me go into the backyard and just shoot pictures of bugs. I mean, of course, back then it was a brown, didn't really get great pictures, but I spent most of high school in the dark room. And I was figured I was going to be behind the camera. I was in production at Carnegie Mellon. I got a BFA in production, not in front of the camera, not on stage, back behind the stage. And my being on camera was kind of a fluke. It was supposed to be something that I was just going to do part-time, doing commercials to sort of pay my way while I was waiting for the big break as a director or DP. And needless to say, I ended up getting Hotel, which was probably the first big show that I was on. And, from then I kept being on camera. So, and the money kept rolling in. So I went, all right, keep it coming. And then about 15 years ago, a friend of mine asked me to shoot stills for his movie. It's called The Big Empty with, Jon Favreau and Daryl Hannah, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll shoot. We were up in Baker, the desert town right outside of Vegas.
Okay.
And it was really, that's where I kind of got back behind the camera professionally.
Okay.
I'd always had a camera. I was always shooting pictures wherever we went. My husband Sam gave me a great camera when we first got married 30 years ago, because we went to Italy, and I was taking some great pictures with some great Kodak. Kodak used to make a film called recording film, which you could just set whenever you want. It was a black and white film. And man, I fell so in love with the camera again that I started trying to find my way back there.
So is it safe to say that you're more comfortable behind the camera than in front?
I think, it's actually no, but yes, but no, because the technology gets so advanced so quickly that while you're comfortable with this camera, it's a behemoth, 6 months later when you're going to shoot something else. So there's always a learning curve, whether you're learning lines or whether you're learning a manual on, some new piece of equipment. Sam just bought a new 360 camera because we're shooting real estate now. He's shooting a lot of real estate, a lot of architecture. So we were shooting that, and then of course now the big bugaboo, especially because everybody has to be home, is being able to shoot 360 so that everybody can take virtual tours. So like I said, every time you turn around, there's some new learning curve you got to come up with, or you got to memorize lines. And I, smoke pot and drink margaritas. So,
all right.
Really, learning lines is not so easy anymore.
So are you and your husband, are you doing videos now then, or are you planning on it?
Well, not right at the moment, because, well, actually, we are probably going to go shoot a property because it's empty, and you have to go in masked and spray everything down. And But yeah, we are shooting. He's shooting mostly. I just go in to be like the set decorator and do some of the camera work because I love doing it.
Okay.
But by and large, yeah, he's got a company that's now shooting, and it's drone. He's got a drone operator's license. He's got an actual, because he used to be a pilot, so he actually got his drone operator's license pretty quickly.
Oh, cool.
Friends of ours who are in real estate had asked us if we could do some drone. He could do some drone shooting, of the properties,
Okay.
and it kind of snowballed into getting more work doing real estate. So that's, there's all the ways, these sidelines as you hit the big 60,
Yeah.
which we have, and some of us have reached it more than others. You're always trying to figure out a way to kind of stay in the game and keep it active and exciting.
Okay. Are you thinking of dabbling with the drone game as well?
I have actually.
Okay. How is it? I've never operated one, so I'm curious.
It's a lot of fun, but you have to, when you're shooting a lot of fabulous properties in Bel Air or down in Laguna, you kind of, again, it's like, oh, maybe this is me. Here, Sam, you take this. And then we were going to shoot, because I'm shooting a little show called Chicks on the Links, which is a golf show that we have up on YouTube right now. I think we have a couple of episodes up on YouTube, and we have a few more shows that we'll edit over the next few months. It was, again, a little side thing to keep me busy while I was waiting for my big break on the morning show and Tyler Perry's sister. Right. But we were going to go out, and one of the golf courses that we shoot at, which is a really nice course, is Sherwood Lakes, which is a fancy schmancy golf course out here. And they have a little executive course that we shoot a lot of our shows on. So when I asked them, is it okay if we bring our drone out? Very sort of not matter of fact. He said, well, you have to take out a $5 million policy. And I went, what? Oh,
they hiding something in the?
That's in case the drone goes through some mansion window and rips up somebody's Picasso.
Right.
So we sort of went, okay, maybe we won't be doing the drone right now.
Oh my gosh. So backing up a bit to the early '80s, fantastic career as a TV and film actress. Hotel, fantastic. What were some of the highlights during your acting career and currently?
Well, there's, getting the gig is the highlight.
Yeah.
Actually, they hired me. Yay!
I know. I saw the opening credits for Hotel, and you look so excited, so happy to be there, and that enthusiasm.
What's so funny about Hotel was I wasn't supposed to be in the series. I actually was only supposed to do the pilot.
Oh,
and
right.
Betty Davis, who was playing Mrs. Trent at the time, in the pilot, she was the one that said to Aaron Spelling, you need to hire this girl full time, which was really sweet. So that ended up being a full-time gig, primarily because of Betty Davis.
Okay.
Unfortunately, she got very ill and ultimately passed away a short time after, and Ann Baxter took her place. And Ann was with us for 3 seasons before she ended up having a pulmonary embolism on the streets of New York.
Jeez, yeah.
and passed away. But what was so wonderful about Hotel was, Aaron at the time was very prolific with hiring movie stars to be his guests on his TV shows. And back in those times, it was unheard of to see a lot of movie stars doing television. But he would always manage to talk somebody into being a guest at the hotel or a guest on the Love Boat. Primarily, our hotel was very upscale, so he got a few more upscale looking people coming to our show. We had Ginger Rogers, we had Louis Jourdan, we had Rock Hudson, we had, Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, there were some amazing personalities and actors and actresses that came onto that show. And, I pretty much had a moment with all of them. Usually it was just checking them into the hotel, going, hi, Mr. Smith, how can I help you today? But and Shelley Winters, there was a couple of them that were actually close family friends, like Shelley Winters. And truly that was special in its own right, because it was just something that had never been done before and now was being done. And Aaron was the king of doing it.
And what was it like working with Aaron? I know he's, famous for all these wonderful shows over the decades. What was your working relationship like with him?
I had an interesting, you're still going.
No, be honest.
Aaron wanted me to do a show called Velvet, which when I got the script was just It was horrible. And I kept saying, I'd rather stay on hotel as the low man on the totem pole than to be one of the stars on. It was for aerobics instructors who were spies. It was supposed to be kind of like a new Charlie's Angels.
Right.
And initially I was up for a part on Charlie's Angels. Lynn Stallmaster was casting that that was early 80s. Mm-hmm. And actually, I think it was like 1980. I think it was 1980, actually, 1980 or 81. And I supposedly was right down to the wire, and they decided they didn't want to go with a woman of color just yet, that was going to upset the apple cart.
Yeah.
So now it was a few years later, and he was doing a similar show. Like I said, we were 4 aerobics instructors who were spies. And the script was just awful. So I kept saying to Aaron, okay, if this doesn't go, can I go back to hotel?
Right.
He went, yeah, but this is going to go. And it's like, but if it doesn't, can I go back to hotel?
I've never heard of it. Did it do well in the long run?
No, we did the pilot, and it was god awful. It was really dreck. And
it sounds awful. It's just
it was pretty bad. And I did learn how to ride a motorcycle in it, which was what's so funny, because now in Tyler Perry's show Sisters, my character rides a motorcycle, and right before I flew out to Atlanta to shoot that, Tyler called and said, "You know how to ride a motorcycle?" And I went, "Well, yeah, it's been a while, but I used to own one. It's been 30 years." And I said, "It's like riding a horse, isn't it? It's like riding a bike, isn't it?" But when I got out to Atlanta, they actually were using Tyler Perry's hog. He had a Harley Davidson, and I don't know if you know, but Tyler is like 6'5". Yeah, so this motorcycle that they gave me, which was Tyler's, I could barely get my leg over.
And aren't you a foot shorter than Tyler Perry?
Yes, exactly. I'm 5'4". So literally, there's this moment where I come out, I ride in with the motorcycle, and my stunt double, I give her credit. she totally did it, and only because it was too big. It was like I wish I could, but I can't. But especially because it was the first day, and we didn't have time. I had to fly. I was shooting here, actually. So the first day I had to shoot on Sisters, I actually had to take the red eye into Atlanta. I arrived at 4:48 in the morning, and it was on the set at 9 o'clock to shoot. And he shoots 5 shows consecutively, so that if in episode 1 and episode 3 and episodes 5 and 6, if you're in those episodes, he will shoot everything that happens in one location first. Like if I'm at my daughter's apartment in episode 1, and I'm in her apartment in episode 3, and I'm in her episode in episode 5, like I said, then he will shoot all that back to back.
That could screw with your head.
It really does, especially because you have to learn a lot of lines from 5 different shows.
Right.
And all on a plane. All on a plane, because they just emailed me the scripts right before I left from LA.
Oh my God.
So that was kind of an exciting. It actually was fun. It was, frightening. It was very scary the idea of being able to do that. But I managed to pull it off. So I'm a happy camper.
Cool. Is there a process you go through when studying and reading your lines and trying to get into the character?
Panic is the process. First, put the joint down, put the margarita down, stay dry for like 3 or 4 days before you.
But that's when you need the joint the most, I think.
You need to have the gray matter to remember the line.
Save it for after the show is wrapped.
Exactly. And then and then the second you land, you pull it out from underneath the car you parked in, or the town car that's picking you up. It's like, dude, bring me a big fatty when you come to
hide in the drone. So TV and film, they're both very different. They're both very similar. Do you approach each one the same way?
Every character is different. Even the 2 that I'm doing now, I play Julia on the morning show. Okay. And I'm the stage manager. People say, clearly the stage manager is the low man on the totem pole, both in the cast. I said I'm number 31 on the call sheet, so I'm not a big star on this show. Right. But the stage manager basically is the low man on the totem pole in a TV show like that. Mm-hmm. And yet, the stage manager is the one that runs the show. So when people
Right.
say to me, so what are you doing on the morning show? I run the show.
There you go.
But, by and large, that's a different ball game, because we shoot that show not only with the cameras that are shooting the show, which is usually 4 cameras.
Okay.
There's so 3 to 6 cameras on the set that are the live morning show sets, just like a morning show, just like the Today Show or Good Morning America, all those cameras. And all those cameras are live. Those are not just fake cameras. They're using those as well because they want to cut and interact with the morning show while all the drama and everything is going on backstage.
Okay.
So I'm actually wearing a live headset and I'm counting in because we're doing a live roll-in, just like we would do on Good Morning America or The Day Show. And I'm getting the feed from the studio, the studio.
Mm-hmm.
The director is leading me the feed, and I'm counting in the show. So there's still that element of excitement going, are we going to get this timing right? Because we still have to get a lot of pages done for the day.
Right.
So that one's different because really all I do is count. We're back in 2 minutes,
Okay.
and we're on in 5, 4,
Right.
And there's, and it's fabulous, it's so wonderful to sit there and watch Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell and Reese Witherspoon and all the guest stars that we have on that show. I mean, not just the guest stars, but the regular cast, Nestor Carbonell, and, I can't even remember them all, but everybody's just so wonderful on that show. And they're a dream to watch. It's fascinating. It's kind of sometimes hard to stay in character watching them, because they're just so wonderful. You sort of want to pay attention to what they're doing as opposed to what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. It's hard to
but movies, there's a little more time. Usually you're given the scripts in advance, and you have the time, you have a table read, you get to work out all the kinks.
Right.
Depending on who the director is, sometimes the director will let you free fall. Sometimes they're, you've got to have playwright rules and stay right word perfect. It's all, and daytime. I've done daytime too. For a couple of seasons ago, I did a few episodes of General Hospital. I played the evil mayor. And that was crazy because they shoot 110 pages a day.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
they're shooting 2 shows. And actually, Tyler shoots 120 pages a day. So it was a similar schedule, but, definitely a different feeling doing daytime and doing Tyler Perry's and then doing Sisters and doing a movie. So.
Oh, very interesting. Now, in the documentary that you were in and featured so lovingly, you were on so many magazine covers. What was it, was it 300? Did I read that right? Or?
Yeah, I think it was slightly over 300, something like that.
Wow.
I've got 90 of them, so.
Okay, since the early 80s, correct?
Yeah, early 80s. Actually, my first cover was 1979.
Wow, wow. What's it like seeing yourself immortalized on paper? Like if you go to a dentist's office, you see yourself. What is that like?
Well, yeah, I don't see myself very often on that. AARP is like probably my next one. But, it's always a thrill. Especially, the funny one is the first time I was shooting Vogue, Richard Avedon, who was just, I had such a crush on Richard Avedon. But Richard Avedon was shooting my first Vogue cover, and he shot with an 8x10 camera, and which shows everything. I mean, like everything.
Right.
And he would shoot maybe 5 or 6 frames. And then if you were shooting 2, he'd shoot another 5 or 6 frames. So, I mean, really, the most you shot was 10 frames.
Okay.
Or 2 cover tries. Whereas Scavullo he was shooting a 35 millimeter camera, so he'd shoot a roll. Anyway, so Richard shot these 2 different setups with me, and this was going to be my first time on Vogue magazine.
Okay.
And he said, I like this one, and the editors at Vogue like the other one. Which one do you like? And he sent me. They were unretouched, just black and white. I thought, oh my God, these people are on drugs. You saw everything. You saw like zits, you saw wrinkles, you saw like the discolored teeth, you saw like the hair in my eye. I went, ah! And he said, oh, silly girl, they're going to be it'll be airbrushed, it'll be fine.
Right.
So sure enough, I said, well, I picked the one that you pick. I like the big smile. So sure enough, they ended up putting on the big smile, and it was, and then when I saw it, and of course, like, they airbrushed the hell out of it. I went, oh, good, I can do this. Because at first, when you're shooting and they would put take 2.5 hours to do your makeup. In my head, I was going, well, God, if I'm this ugly, it takes this long to do makeup. Who thinks I'm going to get a cover?
Oh.
And then sure enough, like you said, after you get a couple of covers, you're going,
Yeah.
oh. I remember the first time my first magazine was a big magazine, was Self, which was in 1980. And I was the first girl of color on Self magazine. And I remember going to I think it was a thrifty drugstore here at the time. And I bought like 4 copies of it. And as they were putting it on the conveyor belt, it kind of got close to the conveyor belt, hoping that the girl would recognize and, notice anything like going on here. She didn't see it. So I went, oh, all right, well, that kind of took the wind out of my sails. But, every time it was just a cover try. You never guaranteed the cover.
Yeah.
And, every time I got one, I was thrilled. It was just, it was like great. You sort of go, oh my God, I am pretty.
Is there a favorite magazine that you've been featured on?
First of all, there's 2. There's Italian. Well, there's 3. There's 3.
Okay.
There's an Italian magazine called Italian Taxi, which really is one of my favorite covers.
Okay.
Then, and I can't remember the photographer's name. He actually ended up passing away from AIDS shortly after we shot, and this was in the early 80s. Vanity Fair. Right. And Vanity Fair, I have a cover. I'm holding 3 Dalmatian puppies, and the Dalmatians did not like each other, so they're snarling and snapping at each other, and I'm kind of holding them like this, going, hi, I'm trying to be happy. And, oh, yes, this is fun. Right. But the cover turned out great, and I went, oh, my God, you never, it's like, it was New York, but it's Hollywood. It's how did they manage to get a decent shot out of, my going,
Yeah.
But then there is this Vogue cover that is, I'm in these multicolored silk pajamas with this big smile on my face. And not only did I enjoy that shoot, but Richard came over and gave me a big bite on the cheek, and his assistant shot the camera, and I have a picture of him.
Yeah, I've seen that picture.
Giving me that bite. So
that
one's got like a little place in my heart too.
Okay, cool. So last question before I let you go. What advice do you have for aspiring entertainers out there?
Good luck. Yeah, don't quit your day job at home right now. I wish I could give some sage advice. Ultimately, you have to want it. The one thing that I tell people is, unlike any other industry, no matter what it is, no matter what the job is that you're doing, you're always once removed from the product that you're creating or that you're selling or that you're writing. And there's always like a little bit of space for you to be able to blame somebody else. If something happens in the manufacturing, even if you're the president of a company, it's like, well, I wasn't the one pulling that lever at the time. Or if you're a writer, you can say, well, the director screwed something up, or the actors screwed something up. Or if you're, somebody who works some manual labor, some bus driver, there's always some element, and it's not that people aren't proud of everything, take pride in everything that they do, but there is always that segment of being once removed from it, except as an actor.
Okay.
As an actor, you are the byproduct of what it is that you're doing, and anything that happens that's negative is personal. And once you do something, and if your acting job is bad, or even if it was edited poorly and it was directed poorly, nevertheless, you're the one that's on camera. Yeah. So if you end up looking bad, that's unfortunately, that's what you have to live with.
Yeah. The
same regard is if you become a big star, suddenly your life is no longer your own, because people want to, especially with today's social media, between tweeting and Facebooking and Instagramming and, and all the things you have to do, and the paparazzi following you around, your life ceases to become your own. So seriously consider what it is you think you want out of this industry before you step into it, and be ready for a lot of being turned down.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of you're not getting the job.
Yeah.
And you've got to have the stamina, you've got to have the the wherewithal, you've got to have other things that keep you occupied in between, whether it's, tie-dye. I like, I do tie-dye, I do photography, I'm behind the camera, I'm writing. I've also been in it all my life. I have to say the good news for me was that being born into it, I saw the downside of it from other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Harry had friends that were hung out, you know, strung out on drugs. So drugs was never a thing that I did. I always smoked pot. I started smoking pot when I was 12, but I never did coke. You know, I never did anything else, and always kept my wits about me that way. And I think it's easy sometimes to kind of get lost in that fast track, especially nowadays. I mean, I have lots of friends and kids. You know, Jonah Hill's my godson,
Really?
and
Okay.
and, you know, I watch his weight fluctuate because, you know, depending on the part, sometimes he's going to be heavy, sometimes he's going to be lightweight,
Right.
you know, but, you know, his brother sadly passed away from, he had a heart attack at 40 and he was the manager of, you know, Adam Levine and Maroon 5. So it's a tough business.
Yeah.
And your life no longer, like I said, is your own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything about that gets blathered into the newspapers. And, you know, when you have a sibling or you have a close friend or somebody that passes away, whether it's an overdose or it's a heart attack or, you know, the press is on your case the entire time because it's story, it's newsworthy.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to really decide, are you strong enough to do this?
Yeah.
And like I said, I saw early on what it took, and I sort of went, yeah, you know what? Weekends are my own. And I've always made a big point of saying, you know, I don't work on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody goes, we have a writing deadline, well, you know, you're going to have to wait until Monday, you know, or you're going to have to wait or I'll try and crank it out by Friday night. And if it's something that I'm getting paid for, then of course I'll write on Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
But by and large, if it's, you know, can you work on Saturday? It's like, no. I really like to have the time to be at home with Sam. We have 6 dogs. You know, we have neighbors that are a quarter of a mile away, but at least we can wave to them. And, you know, you have to be able to block out that time that's your time and really know where the boundaries are between, you know, the press and everybody else and your heart, your sanity.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Shari, thank you so much for your time today. This was awesome.
Thank you.
And I hope you and your
family.
And
you do have all the information. Did we even talk about Stacey's show?
We touched on it. It's fine.
Okay.
But, you know, I want to wish you and your family all the, you know, safety and health. And, you know, best of luck to you and your family. And say hi to Harry.
Oh, you say hi to Harry. You're closer to him than I am right now.
All right.
Yeah, I will absolutely say hi to him. And stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Don't touch your face.